Seems like my video's frozen. So that's good stuff. That's a excellent way to start this stream on Monday morning. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully this works. Who knows if the video will come back or not. But on the plus side, it doesn't really matter because nobody's watching. But anyway, I hope you all had an absolutely wonderful weekend. First and foremost, my dog would like to say good morning to you if you can hear her whining at the door. But I want to say happy Memorial Day to everybody. I know today's technically a holiday, but of course, we're grinding. There's no breaks, but, hope you all have a very relaxing day. I'm sure I'll be having a relaxing day myself. Honestly, I have to go to a engagement party that's, an entire state away. Plus, today's actually my birthday, so we probably won't be doing too much, but always going to be grinding, always making progress. I'm going to kill the webcam and we'll see if maybe it'll come back. I think it's just frozen though. Sorry about that. Maybe I can try to kill that and then we'll do a window capture. Oh, look, there I am. Cool. Okay, so let's see how that goes. Anyway, so we had a really good weekend. It was definitely fun. Let's just go to Google here. Who knows what we'll have to Google. But yeah, it was a really good weekend. Started out Thursday. We had that wholesale order. And this probably will be a running theme, but I had that wholesale order. And I told the lady that basically, she's kind of testing the water. She asked to sell the popcorn at her house. And, I'm excited about that. I want to get the product in more places. It is pretty close to me, as far as where I'm actually selling from out of my house. It's only like 3 or 4 miles away. And same with other places that I've gone. So I don't think that really hurts me. Part of me thinks that I'm selling it for $8 on the road. Why wholesale it 3.5 miles away for $6? But I think I'm just much better off putting it more places. The more places it is, I think the better off I'll be. I'm totally comfortable with the wholesale number of 6, and that's totally fine by me. So I did the wholesale order Thursday and I prepped everything for Friday. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I literally spent, I got up at like 7, set everything up. I do want to show you guys if I can. It's too bad that I need to upload all this stuff to my Google Drive. Hopefully while I'm doing this, I can upload to my Google Drive. But I ended up setting up all 3 days, and I wish I could set up today. If I didn't have that, engagement party, I would absolutely be setting up again today because, like I said, it's the holiday, it's Memorial Day. And so, you can only do what you can do, but I think today would be a good day. But overall, this weekend, we had pretty good sales, considering this is all brand new. We already got some regulars, or what I'll call regulars, but we got some return customers that are definitely going to be regulars moving forward. I had at least 3 or 4 people that had come by last weekend and were like, "Oh my gosh, you have got to keep doing this." I had one guy come by and he was like, "I don't know what you're doing, but do not change anything. I will buy this at least once a week." And people, it is insane how much people go crazy for popcorn. Everybody just loves kettle corn, and there's something about that hand stirred in the big open kettle that's just delicious, and people love it. So overall, we had a pretty good weekend. Decent bit of cash sales. Venmo and credit card was, decent as well. We're not out here making an absolute killing or anything like that. But we have a solid base starting out. And I feel really confident moving forward. that we're going to be able to do pretty well here just on the roadside. Um, I had to change a few things, and I will work on uploading these photos so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But throughout the weekend, I was kind of changing, my setup, changing a few things that I was doing. Good morning from my puppies. But yeah, I had to change a few things, um, and I wasn't able to, Lord. But yeah, I had to change a few things that I was doing, uh, and the way that I had set up. At first, I had set up the tent like kind of offset on the driveway, and that I think it just confused people, and they were worried that they weren't going to have enough room to pull into the driveway. And at some point, I had a lady come by that, she pulled in the driveway like super slow, and you know, speed limit on my road's like 55. So it's not like people are going slow, and most people aren't obeying that speed limit, as you probably don't obey speed limits either. The people on my road don't. And so they're going like, easy 60, 65, depending. And so they come up fast, and, she was making the slow turn, almost caused an accident. This dude's laying on the horn. And I'm like, number one, I would feel immensely guilty if somebody pulling in to get my popcorn crashed and got hurt. Of course, I also don't want that for me or my business. I don't really want to draw a bunch of attention to myself. Like I said, I've talked to the county. I asked the county if I could do this. They told me yes, as long as I'm currently under a cottage food law. So they said, well, as long as you're under cottage food law, you can sell your product out of your house. And then all you have to have is the cottage food, licensing, and then insurance, which is great. I still don't quite buy it, to be honest with you. I really do think that, I don't know, maybe I'm jinxing myself here, but I think the county, it's too easy. Nothing's this easy. There's no way that they're going to allow me to continue to do this without somebody causing, some problems for me down the road. But that's okay. I mean, you kind of just got to keep going and, see if anything, and of course the goal is to, to get bigger. We're going to try and expand into a couple other areas and, just kind of keep going. But yeah, so I changed the setup for Sunday after Saturday, and that accident almost happened, and blah blah blah. I changed the setup, and I moved the tent over, and I just left a big kettle in the driveway, or like right off to the side of the driveway, because the heat from the popcorn kettle will literally like singe the grass, and I didn't want to like start a yard fire and all that. So I want to keep that thing on the driveway as much as possible. That also helps with the visibility, but then I have a big hill in my yard. I set my truck and trailer up. I put the big popcorn sign on the truck. And, the visibility I don't think was as good Sunday. And Sunday was definitely the worst day that we had. It was really, really slow. I didn't even get a customer until I think like maybe 1 o'clock. And it was fun though. Like, I invited a few people over, and they brought their kids, and we were just hanging out in the yard. And so it was really fun, before everybody customers actually started showing up. But still, it was like, well, I'd been out there since like 7, and, I didn't get any sales, which, it is what it is. But, and the sales that I did get came from Facebook. So basically, I posted, as I think I mentioned, I posted in a couple of Facebook groups that are like local, and I said, hey, I'm set up here, come by and see me. A good bit of people actually did come by, which was really awesome. And then after they came by, they reposted like a picture of the product and said like, hey, go check out what's popping, like his stuff is really good. So that just gave me the warm and fuzzies. I was happy about that. And so here's another thing that I think you'll find, like, kind of, if you put forth that effort and put yourself out there, things will kind of, things will go decently. So Friday, yeah, I think it was it was Friday morning. I had, I had popped Thursday, had some bags still left over, and there's like I think I mentioned, there's breweries and wineries all around my house. There's a winery, smaller size winery. It's like 25 acres. Um, and but they're literally a quarter mile away from my house, and uh, like I said, definitely smaller, but still a decent venue that has been around since, like, if you read the about them, they've been around since like the 1800s. So it's somewhat of a community staple, and I'm sure it was the first winery to come up in this area, and then a bunch of them kind of just grew around them. Um, so anyway, I took 2 bags of popcorn, and I did what I typically do. I just kind of walk in with the 2 bags of popcorn, and I say like, "Hey, my name is James. I hand stir this. If you wouldn't mind trying this, if you like it and you potentially want to sell it here, like, let's talk about how you would want to do that. If you want a live thing, if you want a wholesale, however you want to do it." So I went into this winery. There was 2 older ladies there who were, sipping wine, trying wines, deciding what bottle they wanted to buy. So I was just kind of awkwardly standing behind them for a while with my 2 bags of popcorn. And the guy, I don't know, do you call is it a bartender still at a winery? I don't know. He didn't give me bartender vibes. He gave me like wine connoisseur vibes. But so I could already tell he was like slightly side eyeing me, like, what the hell is going on with this guy? And then I got up there and he's like, "Are you delivering popcorn?" And I was like, "Well, I live literally right down the road, and I was wondering, no pressure or whatever, but I obviously worded this better when I was talking to him, but I did say like, no pressure, but I wanted you to try this if you guys are interested. I don't know if you do events, but like, I do live events. I live so close down the road, and popcorn and wine go so well together. I think this could be a good seller for you." So, uh, you know, I'm not, very dry conversation, I will say that. He didn't seem really too interested at all, and he was like, "Well, we do events," and I was like, "All right, well, no pressure, but give it a try. My number's on the bag, so if you're interested, let me know." I immediately came back home. I said to my wife, like, "Well, that definitely ain't happening. There's no way. They are not interested in popcorn for sure." But universe is funny. I get a text like 15 minutes later from this girl. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the events coordinator, and we have a movie night, and I've been desperate to find a popcorn guy. Movie night's on Sunday. Is there any chance you could come to the winery Sunday evening, 7 o'clock?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So I was blown away, because I was pretty sure that I wasn't gonna end up with with any business from that, but so that was great. So she said, "Hey, will you come Friday or Sunday?" Absolutely. So then Sunday, like I said, had a couple people over, and set up, popped a bunch of bags, and I told the lady that since it was a movie night, she wanted me to get there at 6:30. Actually, the movie night was supposed to start at 7. We'll get into that in a little bit, but so she goes to or she asked, "Will you show up at 6:30?" I said, "Certainly," but I'm just gonna bring pre-popped bags, and then I'm not going to be able to set the whole kettle up, because she said there were 74 people registered for the event, and I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to pop enough popcorn, set everything up, blah blah blah, and pop enough within 30 minutes before this movie starts, and have it be like worth the while of loading the kettle. And it's a decent bit of work to load and unload and get everything out and blah blah blah. So I was like, "I'll bring popped bags," and she was like, "Hey, you're I'm just so happy." I mean, she was over the moon. That was what was so funny, because I was sure that I wasn't getting any business off of that, and she was just so happy to have found a popcorn guy, and she was like, "Hey, you do whatever you want. Like, I'm just happy that you're able to show up. I was gonna sell Smart Pop." So anyway, I'll tell you about Sunday and how that actually went, because it was kind of funny. I felt really bad for the winery and this girl. Basically, the audio did not work at all. I really have no idea exactly what happened, but they had the projector screen set up, and the projector didn't have Bluetooth. I think they had a Bluetooth speaker that they were hoping to Bluetooth it to. Turned out the projector didn't actually have Bluetooth capabilities. So they ended up trying to set up computer speakers, but then they didn't have like a an actual receiver to power the speakers, so they were like super super quiet. You couldn't hear anything. And by this time, they were still working on setting the movie up. It was like 7:40, and so I came up to the events coordinator girl. And I'm like, hey, I live like a quarter mile down the road. Let me see what I got at the house to try and So I was gonna bring like a receiver or my speakers. Of course, I couldn't get the receiver unplugged. It's like whatever. It's a whole thing. It's set up completely in my house. But all I said I was gonna bring was like this Bluetooth adapter thing. Anyway, so I bring that thing, and then she's like, well, we actually don't have power for the speakers. And she's like, I don't know. I guess, honestly, kind of, I think there was just a little bit of an oversight on their part. And I just felt really bad for them. And so basically when I had, I'd set up there, and I sold a decent bit of bags, like, because of course, everybody thought the movie was starting at 7. So like within that first 30 minutes, basically everybody that was gonna buy popcorn came up to buy their popcorn because they were getting ready to sit there and watch the movie. So my plan was to leave at like 7:15, but then of course the movie didn't start, and I went back home to try and get something to help them. We still were never able to figure that out, and I had popped a good bit of bags, and I had a decent day on Sunday, selling in my driveway. Then I did pretty well, selling to the customers there, but I still had like at least 20, 25 bags or something like that. So I went up to the girl and was like, oh, hello, pup. But so I went up to the girl and I was like, I think honestly, if it was me, I said, so she, side note, sorry, I probably should mention this. When I was there, she asked me what I said I do live pops as well, and that goes really well and people love it. And, so she asked me what I was doing Father's Day weekend, and I'm actually live popping on actual Father's Day at another winery, a big winery that's gonna should be a really good day for us. But the Saturday before, I'm not doing anything. So she was like, "Well, what about the Saturday before Father's Day, like the day before Father's Day?" And I was like, "Hey, I'm free for that. I can definitely do that." And that'll be a good day as well. I think, I think this, even if it's a smaller winery, I think they get a lot of customers, and I think that'll go well. So anyway, I knew that was coming up too, and I'd already had a pretty good day. So I was like, I just kind of pulled her aside and said, if it was me, I'm willing to give you the rest of the bags of popcorn that I have for free. You can, there's plenty that you can at least give like every family here a free bag of popcorn. Why don't you tell everybody here that you as a gesture of goodwill because of this massive audio fail, just tell everybody that you bought the rest of my popcorn from me, and then give it to them for free. Because I don't want the people that already paid for the popcorn to feel like, oh, what the hell, like, you're just giving this away now and I paid money for it, what the heck. So I hope that she did that. I'm honestly not sure, because I packed up, the whole thing was, I just felt really bad for them. But overall, I think, they had a really good turnout. And of course, hopefully people return, and she did say they're of course going to get the audio fixed and all that. But that was just one of those things where I figure, a gesture of goodwill on my part as well. I definitely want to come back there, and I would love to continue working with them, in some fashion, because they are so close down the road, and, a lot of people know of them. So I think it would be a really good place to kind of get my foot in the door and keep working with them. So that was, kind of funny. And that's just kind of the way that it goes. But definitely, I mean, to me, a big win, like going in, dropping the popcorn off and being like, oh, well, it's definitely not going to happen. And then for it to actually have come through and end up in an event in like 2 days, just, was super awesome and really, really exciting. So that worked out really well. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we're gonna have lots more where that came from. The seasons are already, ramping up pretty good. My biggest wholesale customer reached out over the weekend as well, and she said, can we start the Thursday before Father's Day? And she ordered 100 bags for her orchard. So basically, mid-June is really going to be like when we're really going to start rolling. with the popcorn at least. So that's, Thursday I'll probably start in the driveway because I'll do the wholesale order. So I'll pop those 100 bags and I'll just sit on the roadside with my signs out there, and anything I can sell beyond that 100 will be awesome. Friday I'm sure I'll be out there as well. And then of course Saturday I'm going to the one winery. Sunday I'm going to the other winery. That's going to be a good weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it. Something else I did on the popcorn front, I had talked to another guy who's got a YouTube channel, and he's a kettle corn guy, and that's really all that he does is, big time grinding with kettle corn. This guy, I was actually totally blown away, and like super respect for this dude's hustle, but I guess he worked for another kettle corn company, ended up deciding he wanted to run his own kettle corn business, so he saved up for a kettle and all this. This dude had a 2009 Kia Sportage, so like really small little, I'm not hating. I used to have a, same year, like actually mine was a '06 Hyundai Elantra, which is like the exact same car as a Kia Sportage. This dude was pulling a trailer with all of his kettle equipment. When he was first starting out, he was pulling the trailer with the Kia Sportage, and he says in one of his videos, like, "Oh, I can't believe that, that my Kia Sportage was having trouble." And I'm like, dang, I love this hustle. But I talked to this guy before, and last year he'd actually offered me some events that he didn't have time to do. And I couldn't take him last year, unfortunately, because that was like October, which is like, I was really busy too, doing events and whatnot. But I was hoping to work with him in some fashion. He's actually somewhat close by to me. And so I sent him a Facebook message. So I'm trying to get something on the YouTube channel. Like I'm hoping to do kind of like a panel discussion between him and I, and help anybody. Help anybody that's like kind of trying to get into the kettle corn game, because I think between the two of us, we'd be able to offer some. I think we'd be able to offer some really good insight for people that want to get into the business. So maybe that'll be on the morning show here. Maybe I'll do a separate video. And he opened the message, he never responded, so that may never happen anyway. But hopefully, I think that would be, be cool. It'd be somewhat valuable, I imagine, for people that are trying to get into the kettle corn business. My neighbor also, that's a whole nother thing, but, I don't think I've talked about my neighbor, but anyway, real nice guy, but, definitely a bit of a junk collector. This dude is like huge into the yard sale scene. So he spends every weekend going to yard sales. He's got like 50 acres behind me, and you can tell that my man yard sales all the time. I'll just put it that way. And but anyway, he is a really, really nice guy. And I've been thinking, like, how can I bring more business in here? I love cooking food. Hopefully you'll see on this channel I'm going to try to, like, put recipes on here and all that type of stuff. But I told him, as I was out there popping, I'm like, yeah, I don't see what's stopping me from getting a food truck or anything like that and just parking that in my yard. And, I could sell breakfast sandwiches, I could sell coffee, whatever. I'm really just trying to take advantage of the fact that I live on a busy road that has a lot of cars driving by all the time. And so he was already out, and he saw one thing that, like, literally it was being sold as he pulled up, and he said it was like a big cooker trailer. And I would have so much fun with that. I probably wouldn't do it for too long, to be honest with you, because I bounce around with all the type of things that I do. Kettle corn has really been the thing I've been most consistent on, but I would have so much fun with that, and I would love to do it. So I'm sure at some point, because this dude, he literally goes all over the place, and finds a bunch of stuff. So excuse me, but so we'll see how that plays out. But that's definitely in the cards at some point. Is finding a food trailer. And there's also a lady that I had talked to. I bought something off of her, a piece of popcorn equipment off Facebook Marketplace, a month or so back. And super awesome lady, and she got me into a group of like other food vendors, and she's selling at like NFL football games. She's got like 3 food trucks, and just a really awesome lady. clearly, really wanted to be helpful and, kind of help a new-ish business. And, she said she'd been doing it for like 30 years. So she definitely had, a ton of insight and valuable info. And anyway, so I'm actually thinking about talking to her and asking, like, I'm sure that those, she's got the 3 food trucks. I'm sure they don't leave the driveway every day. I bet you they go out on the weekends. So I'm considering asking, would you let me rent these for, like, could I rent them like 3 days and just see how it goes? See if anybody pulls up, and, if I can make any money off of selling food. And honestly, just because it seems like fun. Now, of course, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. I would probably have to worry about additional insurance if I'm not just selling popcorn. I know that you have to have like a food handler's license, which I have my food safety certification and my food handlers and all that. So I should be okay with that, but something to consider if like that's, what you want to get into. Always make sure, start with a Google search, figure out what you need to do to like legally do these things. And then after you've done the Google search, you'll probably find like a bunch of blogs that will give you some fairly generic information. Some of them will be state specific, but not all the time. And to really, really figure it out, unfortunately, you have to typically dive pretty deep into your state's website, which most of the time is a big headache because the websites just aren't that good. They certainly don't, they're not trying to make your life any easier. I don't know if they're trying to make it harder or not, but I just, they don't make the information that easily or readily available, at least from what I've found. So you do have to do your own research. But who knows? The food truck thing could be fun. It could be cool. And, we'll see. We'll just see how it plays out. But overall, it was a great weekend. I'm really happy with the way that it went, and I'm just excited for what's coming up next. The plans for this week, we're going to keep grinding here. I've sent a few messages. I've reached out to a couple of additional orchards, and I'm really just trying to pick up wholesale clients. And so I didn't have a Facebook for a long time because I just really don't like Facebook, didn't like it. But I've realized that, like, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to sell my product and, get my name out there and whatnot, I really have to have a Facebook. So I've already been able to use that tool pretty well because, now I'm reaching out to orchards over Facebook and saying like, hey, can I bring some popcorn by? Now, to be honest, so far I've gotten really no response from anybody, but that's okay. I mean, that kind of happens and it's no biggie. But we'll be growing constantly, and I'm just excited to share the journey with you guys because I think it's going to end up going pretty well. Another guy one of my good buddies I grew up with, he came over the weekend as well, and we talked. He owns his own company. We're going to definitely have him on the show at some point. He owns a digital marketing company that I actually used to work for him part-time doing digital marketing. And he's a really, really good guy, and he's a wealth of information, but he's also in the beginning stages of business. I think he's been in business for 5-ish years, something like that. And I think, like a lot of entrepreneurs, he is still struggling to find his way, even though, he's in like a very expensive business. I'll tell you that. Like he does really large scale websites. So, kind of his business is a little bit of like feast or famine because, if he lands a website contract or he lands a contract, it's a lot of money because it's a huge undertaking. But if they don't come through, he's not doing like, mom and pops like he wouldn't do, maybe if I asked, but certainly his wheelhouse is not typically your small business owner that's just getting started. He's doing like well-established large businesses that have plenty of money to back up a good website and, are willing to pay for technology that works for them. But anyway, we just had some, great talks. It's always so nice to talk to other business owners, and, even if you're in totally different industries, it's just great to like, get the camaraderie of like, this is a struggle. But yeah, hopefully we bring him on at some point. And I think basically throughout the week we're going to be doing the show every morning. So, anytime you want to tune in, this show is obviously, as we build and grow this, one day we're getting a listener. I'll tell you that much. But today's not that day. But as we grow, when we build this, I may do, like I was telling my buddy about doing this, and we're kind of spitballing ideas of how to make it work. And maybe what I'll do is record, and I'll do like 1 or 2 live shows, and then I'd like to like pre-record the shows, so then there can be like some editing. I can like, put some stuff in. Hopefully it'll be a little more informative. And I don't know, I may bring somebody else on. Like, there needs to be an entertaining aspect of this show so that, people want to spend their time with me, and, hopefully get some value out of doing this and some motivation. But so another week in the books, and we got a beautiful one starting. May, always like my favorite month, so it was a really good May, and I'm thankful, super thankful for that. And I'm looking forward to the things we got coming up, so it should be really good. And I think by the end of the week, hopefully I'll have some good news with like a new customer, a new client, anything like that. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep on grinding. Like I said, unfortunately, I'm pretty busy today with like some personal stuff that I got to take care of. Plus, it's my birthday, so I'm sure that, there's going to be birthday activities. But I'm just kind of in grind mode, so I'm just like, I don't even care. I just want to grind. I just want to make progress and move forward so that this time next year on my birthday, I can feel like, dang, I've had a great year. I've had a successful year. And I'll just say, for my own sake, looking back, last year I was at a totally different point. I guess at this point last year, I was working at American Exteriors, and even though I was supposed to end up taking that business over from the guy who owned it, of course he passed away, never happened. But that was like, I was super happy. And I was getting a paycheck from that company because, of course, I was supposed to be taken over. Now, of course, that's no more. So totally different position than I was in last year. But I am really excited. I think I still have, a bright future coming up. And, I'm happy where I'm at, and I love it. And I just can't wait to see where it goes. So I think this morning, that's basically what I wanted to cover today. We had, just putting ourselves out there, going, delivering popcorn. I sent popcorn to a bunch of other places too and handed out bags, and, who knows? I just throw feelers out there and hopefully it works. I will say, I mentioned this, but I am so bad at charging my actual price for the popcorn. I don't think the entire weekend, I think I maybe sold a bag at full price, like, I don't even know, 3 times, 4 times maybe. I don't know. I think because my prices were $6 for, the previous 2 years, or previous 3 years really, my prices have been $6. So now that they're 8, like, I don't know if I feel guilty. Like, I know my margins are solid. So I'm like, at $6, I'm still doing okay. When I think about it, it's still definitely a fair price at $8 because, the other companies around me are charging way more than that. But I think part of it is I enjoy it, and I'm like, I don't mind. $6 still think is fair. But then the other part really is, I love giving people a deal because they're going to come back and do it again. So, I think it will get to the point where people are just going to be like, no, I'm going to pay $8 for this because they love it. And that's what I want. I want, I don't want people to feel like, they have to open their wallets to me. I want them to feel like they want to. That's the goal. And I'm definitely there with a lot of customers already. And I think I'll get there with all of them. So I hope you guys, again, it's a holiday, but, still got to grind, got to make progress. And I hope you guys are out there doing that. And we'll have some switch ups to the show probably at some point. I don't know if it'll be this week or what, but I'm going to kind of be working on it. And I think really the next step is I'm going to try to set up. If you're familiar with my channel at all, you'll see that we have a duplex, and that was like kind of my intro into real estate rental, because I really wanted to rent out the bottom unit of my house. Now I'm kind of having second thoughts about that because I am moved in. We got a bunch of dogs, and I don't know. We're just kind of settled, and this kind of feels like our house, and I feel like it's going to be really hard to share the house. Not to mention, my wife works night shifts, so she's just on a really weird sleeping schedule, and it's really hard to like let her get the amount of sleep she needs to do her job well, and have to be concerned with like neighbors downstairs and blah blah blah. So yes, it would be definitely nice to have the rental income, but I would like to see if I can find a way to not have to do that. And then when we move and hopefully repeat this process and get another house, then we can rent the unit that we're in, the upstairs and the downstairs, and move on to the next house. So that's definitely the goal. But in the meantime, I'm highly considering if I can get my wife on board with it. It's the big question. Oh, sorry, got to stretch here, but yeah. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll be able to move the studio downstairs. We'll be able to do the show from downstairs, and then I'll be able to do a bunch of videos and stuff like that, and hopefully get some content out. Really, probably my big push this week, and I'm starting to get a little nervous, but I still have probably 2 weeks, but I need to find somebody to interview for the AM radio show, and that is becoming more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be. I really thought, like, I know so many entrepreneurs and business owners, I should be able to get people on, but a lot of things are like, people are like, oh yeah, I'll, sure, whenever, and then like it never materializes. Or I'll ask people like, hey, can you talk to your boss, or whoever it is, can you talk to the, like, ask them if they'd be willing to be on the show. And I kind of thought it was gonna flow, but it's not necessarily flowing. It's still gonna work out. And I think as I grow, and as I get people to come on the show, and it becomes more of a real thing instead of this like idea, it'll just kind of snowball from there. And I think then I'll be able to have no problem constantly getting guests and that type of stuff. But as of now, it is a bit of a challenge, a bit of a struggle, but I still think it'll definitely come together. But that's probably going to be a good sized push for me this week too, is going to be trying to find a guest and some entrepreneurs to talk to. What I hope to do is probably do that on this show, and we'll do the interviews. I probably won't do them live. I'll probably pre-record. I'll put the entire interview on the morning show, and then I'll edit that down for my 27-minute slot on AM radio. And we'll just kind of go from there. So that's the goal for this week. I will update you tomorrow as far as how everything goes, and we'll be talking the rest of the week. So get out there, try and have the best day you can possibly have, holiday or not. Go out there and grind. It's out there, whatever you're looking for. You just got to ask around. You just got to keep pushing and get there. So thank you so much for your time. Of course, my name is James Goss. This is the Internet Morning Entreprayneur, and we'll be coming back at you tomorrow morning. So thank you so much for your time. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful holiday, and I will talk to you tomorrow.